Hey everyone, it's Kai from Cool Collectibles back again for another review. This time it's the Bandai S.H.Figuarts Vega. For all the amazing figures coming out of Japan, click the link in the description below to head on over to Big Bad Toy Store. They ship worldwide, so definitely check them out. Alright, I just did a review of Bison a couple of days ago and I thought that was pretty good. And I think this Vega is just a little bit better even, particularly with the accessories that it comes with. Just the box art here, which I don't have in front of me. Same old stuff that you get on the back there. I love that iconic pose with the claw there, and that's probably how I'll have mine displayed on the shelf there. But that's pretty much it for the standard box art. Accessories wise, as per the Bison review, it does come with these cardboard backdrops, which do look nice for a few odd photos and so on, but the quality is pretty lackluster, to be honest, and they warp all over the place out of the packaging. So in the end, I usually end up throwing them in the bin. The backdrop accessory, though, is a redeeming factor for this figure. It comes in 4 separate parts, so these little stabilizers can come off, and I think these are so you can add some of the Bandai, what do they call it, figure pose option things, where you can have them posed up in the air and so on. But this particular option, as you know, is for Vega to climb on that sort of lattice, and he does come with some clawed hands where you can pose them up like so. So you can have them sort of draped over the front there, like he's climbing on that. So it comes with a couple of gloved options for the hands. I'm not sure why these don't have the claws. Would have been nice if they had the claws as he was holding onto the fence, but I guess they tried to cut costs there. I thought they might have been swappable, but they're not, so the only hand with the claw is this default fist, which does look pretty nice, but I'll give you guys a closer look at that shortly. The only other accessory is the unmasked head sculpt. The sculpt does look a little bit weird, to be honest. I don't really recall him looking exactly like this in the game or anything like that, but I guess it's a pretty boy look as best as they could do, and the hairstyle is pretty good. So you see the indent on the back there to cater for the braid and this other piece at the bottom here. But I don't know how many collectors are going to use this. I for one won't be using this sculpt at all. And I'll show you just quickly this mask sculpt. You can see the eyes through there, so it was a little bit interesting to see what was under here, and I think you can just gently pry it off, if I can actually do it on camera. Oh, there you go. And it does look freaking weird without it, so they don't have like a full sculpt underneath, but I think the intent is you can swap it out for this sculpt, and then I guess have him holding this mask in his hand. But for me, I'll definitely have him posed up with the mask on. So I'll just get the mask back in. It does have a little couple of pegs there that you slot in the holes just there. So I'll get the mask back on and then give you guys a closer look at the figure. Hold on. Alright, the figure itself has quite a lot of detail. I do like the snake sort of tattoo that's all over his body and his arm. It's a nice clean decal, so no sort of colour bleed or smudging there. There is also a hint of it just on the bottom here below his sash, which is pretty much mostly hidden by the sash. I'm not even sure why they bothered to do that, but I guess it does come around his back here along the side and wrapping around. So I guess for completeness they did that, and you can sort of see it under the sash there. So that's all pretty good. The head articulation is pretty good. He can sort of have those rocking poses for that confused look. It is on a separate joint to the neck piece, but I can't really seem to move this neck piece. It does give you a bit of tilt forward, but then it leaves this sort of gap at the back, which is a little bit ugly. So just be aware of that. The hair piece here does articulate, so you can have that out slightly. It's for that sort of wind and hair look, and you can sort of slightly bend this on that particular joint there as well. So overall, that's not too bad. The sash here is a separate piece that you just need to attach to that ball joint there. I'm not sure if, I think I've got it on the right way. You could rotate it the other way, but I think based on the product photos, that's the right way to have it. And you can sort of articulate it there and have that sort of flowing in the wind as well. The articulation wise, apart from the head there, the shoulders work pretty well. You can get quite a lot of motion. There's that sort of butterfly joint that sort of goes in and out, and then doesn't really have too much motion forward like a traditional butterfly joint that I'm used to. I think some of the other figures in the series probably have a better range of motion in that forward department, but overall it doesn't look too bad, depending on how you pose it up. As always, there's no bicep swivel, but there is a swivel at the elbow here, and it does have a pretty decent range of motion in the elbow. The joint is pretty standard now, I think, in this series, so it doesn't look too bad. I'm used to that now. The claw hand, there's not too much articulation in the wrist here apart from the rotation, but overall the sort of gold finish and so on is pretty good. Mine does have a little bit of a paint blemish there, but not too noticeable. The torso, I'm not sure about this six-pack or muscle sculpt there. It looks a little bit unrealistic to me. I don't think I've come across any human that's got all of that sort of arch of muscles there. But the abs there look pretty good, as do the sort of muscles in the upper torso. So overall, it doesn't look too bad. Range of motion is pretty good. You can sort of arch pretty far back and bend pretty far forward. So just be aware of the gappage at the back there. And again, at the torso, it does have the joint at the bottom there that also has a bit of an ab crunch and a rotation. The hips, I'm not sure if it's perfectly symmetrical. It could be. But the range of motion is pretty standard. You get that sort of wide look, and you can get his legs pretty far back and forth as well. The knee articulation is pretty good, which you need for a figure like this, where he's jumping around all over the place. And the feet articulation, you can point it quite far down, which is what you need when he's up in the air, and also has the rocker action, which is quite nice. And you can get the foot moving as well if you have him in a sort of walking or dancing pose, which is pretty good. I think there is a bit of rotation in the lower leg there as well, but just be careful in case you turn and snap something off there. But there is a bit of rotation, so I think he can get into a whole range of action fighting poses, as you would with Vega. So I think lots of posability. I'll be posting up some photos on the Facebook page once I swap out the hands and have him standing on the lattice there. But I think on the box art you sort of get an idea of what it can do, pretty much like that straight out of the game. So I do like the swap out hands that they've got there. But actually, now that I look at it, it looks like that one's got his claw on the hand grasp. So I'm not sure how that works. Let me just double check this, unless this claw thing can come off. Let me have a look. Maybe it does. Oh, there you go. I've only just noticed. So it looks like the back of the hand there has this key, and you can take that off. So that's actually pretty damn awesome. I don't know if I think there's a bit of paint blemish on the silver there, but that is pretty awesome, the fact that they can do that. You can almost replicate that part in the game where you damage him enough and his claw falls off. But yeah, now you can essentially take this one off, I assume. Yeah, and then put the claw on there as he's climbing. So that's pretty awesome that they can do that. I didn't realize that just until I saw the photo. So I don't even think the instructions mention that, but I'll probably double check. Oh no, I'm actually looking at the instructions now, and oh yeah, there's a little bit of an indication that you can swap them over with that little arrow. So it's not immediately obvious, although it does say in English there, the back of the hand can be replaced. Or I guess you can swap them out. So awesome little design feature there. So I'm glad I noticed that. So I might actually end up displaying him climbed on there on the shelf using the claw. So that is pretty damn awesome. So overall, I think they've done a pretty good job with the Vega figure. I'll grab Bison here. So for a bit of scale comparison, I guess the bosses are all slightly taller than the rest of them, I think. But the body bulk, I think they've done Bison pretty well there. And Vega was always the sort of thin but strong and muscly. So they've done that pretty well. And here's Ken, just for another quick comparison. So you can see that Vega is slightly taller, maybe half a head or so. I'm not sure how accurate that is to the game. I'll have to go back and check. But I'm happy enough with that sort of scale. I might have to see if I can get the Chun-Li and recreate that classic fight they had in Chun-Li's apartment. But stay tuned for some more photos up on the Facebook page soon. But that's pretty much it. Hopefully you like that look at the Bandai S.H.Figuarts Vega figure from their Street Fighter series. Hope you can click that like button and subscribe to the channel as well. I do have the Lego UCS A-Wing coming, and some more figures from Big Bad Toy Store coming up in the next month or so. So hopefully you can subscribe and stay tuned for all of that. Thanks again, and I'll talk to you guys soon. Cheers.